Hi, this is Sherry Veronica. The person there in your photo sitting there is Davidson Ishmael. And he's talking about stigma of like your mental health being checked. He says that there's still a stigma for you to go to have a check on your mental health. If you have a ingrowing toenail, it's okay to go and have that, taken care of. If you break a limb, it's okay for you to go and have a cast, put on that particular area and have it fixed. It's okay if you have a headache to go to the doctor, have him prescribe pills. If you get pregnant without having a man, and you know what I mean by getting pregnant without having a man, I'm not talking about the immaculate conception. I'm talking about getting pregnant and you're not in any kind of like staunch relationship, any kind of marriage, any kind of understanding that he's going to be there to help you raise the child. I'm talking about getting pregnant like that. That should be more of a stigma. Okay? What should be a stigma is you not having any education to support yourself. None, nada. Can't support yourself. What should be a stigma should be your attraction to like recidivists. You're just attracted to people on the block. Okay? What should be a stigma is you not having anything going for you, so you have to like turn to a grandfather to help you. You have to go and you know how it goes, right? When you end up with these older people, because you're looking for help, you're looking for a place to live, you're looking for food, so that should more be a stigma than your mental health being checked every now and again. If there's stresses from the job, you go and have your mental health checked. If sometimes you don't even have to go, you just take a couple of days off. You can just take a couple of days off from your work just to get yourself centered again. So when he is in your paper, or Davidson is in your paper talking about it's still a stigma, it shows how far back in the past you're still living, because all of that generational trauma, you should know about it. It should be taught in schools. Okay? The generational trauma is still with you. You never had the opportunity to get rid of it. It's still there. So for you to feel it coming on and to go to ask a professional for help, and that is a stigma, yet you can show up pregnant, big pregnant, you can't hide that. Show up big pregnant, you don't have any education, you don't have any kind of job, you don't have no baby daddy, you don't know which one it is, and that is not a stigma? That is not a stigma? You have things like backwards. Everything is like backwards in Barbados. In some instances, you have things all wrong. What you should really pay attention to, you're not paying attention to. You're not paying attention to the important things you should pay attention to, like people stealing. Like it's like a virus. It's stealing. That should be a stigma. That should be a stigma. Lending someone money and they're not paying you back. You sometimes you take interest in someone. You do not want them to fail, and you're there to support them. And then they break loose and you can't find them. You don't get the money back. If they do make money after you've invested in them, they don't look back to give you back your money. That's a stigma. That's a stigma. Okay, not the generational trauma that you're still trying to rid yourself of. Rid yourself of. That should not be in your paper as something that is a stigma. Why? You're ashamed? You are ashamed of the effects the past still have on you? You are ashamed of that? Yet you will say that you are ashamed of the past in terms of that mental health stigma, but yet you would put your hands up and say you're Black and you're proud, and you're proud to be a Barbadian. You love living on that slave port now called a republic. You love all of that. You love jumping up in crop over, and you love the food. You love the putting on sauce on Saturdays. You love all of that, which is part of the trauma. But then when it reaches a crescent, when it reaches a certain point where it just like kind of gets you, it actually affects you, you are ashamed. It only shows you there's a disconnect. It's telling you that you're already disconnected from yourself. You're not looking at your history. You're not looking at the past and how we bring things with us. You have your DNA, genetics, this memory. This memory. You're not looking and you're not connecting the dots. Okay, you're not connecting a whole lot of dots, but yet you bring children into the world and you perpetuate poverty. You perpetuate poverty because you have what I would say, you don't want to admit. You'd rather have a child than to admit that you're poor. That should be a stigma right there. The fact that you cannot face the truth of the situation you're living in. You're living in poverty. You're probably living at your mom's house or scoshing somewhere. You don't have a room for the baby to have the child to have their own room. If you have a boy and a girl, there should be separate bedrooms, not in the same room. You have nothing like that going on, but yet you have 4, 5, 6 kids, and you don't call that a stigma? Okay, I'm done with this particular video. But yeah, if any part of your body needs fixing, needs like care, you need to like take a look at it because it's not working well. You should never consider that a stigma. Go and get yourself checked. Go and get your mental health checked. Talk to someone. Join a group. There are groups out there online. There are groups all over the internet, all over Facebook. There are groups that you can join and you can talk about what's going on with you mentally. There are groups that talk about generational trauma and what people from the islands and the new world, the ones that came from Africa, all of that. There are groups that deals with all of that, and you can talk about all of that within that group, and they're private on Facebook, they're private on other platforms, but you can do your homework. I'm not going to do it for you, by the way. I'm not going to be doing it for you because you do things for people and they don't appreciate it. So if you really, really need to know more about generational traumas and, you know, what is stored within your DNA and what is stored within your genetics, you need to do your own homework and you need to fix yourself. You need to help yourself, okay? You can get a cell phone and you know how to use that cell phone. You can do all kinds of things without having no money and no job. So you should be able to find a site somewhere that can talk to you or you can relate to within that group about your mental health and not feel any way about it because it's part of who you are as a descendant of slaves. Okay, it's part of who you are. You're gonna have issues. And Barbados, when you look at the population, most people in Barbados should understand that they should have a hiccup. There should be some sort of hiccup within that mental space, between the ears, the mental space in your head. There should be a hiccup, and you can hide it. You can say it didn't really happen, and you don't have it, and there's no trauma, and your parents didn't come from sleep. You could say all of that kind of stuff, but it's still there. We know you have an antithesis when it comes to truth. You have an aversion to truth, but whether you have that or not doesn't stop the truth from being the truth. It's still the truth. It's still the truth. It's still going to be with you. Okay? It's still going to be there. So it's up to you you have to get ahead of it. You actually have to get ahead of it, and you have to know how to cope. You have to engage and employ coping mechanisms to know how to calm yourself. And don't look for anyone else to calm you down. Don't look for retail therapy to calm you down. Don't be spending your money thinking that you're going to feel better. Don't be thinking, oh, if I get this, I'm going to be happy. If I do this, I'm going to be happy. It's all within you. It's all within you. You have to deal with yourself. You're going to have, at some point, you're going to have to deal with yourself. So when Davidson Ishmael is saying that the mental jump is like 700%, 700%, it's all, everyone in Barbados should take time to reflect on history of the past, where you're going in the future, how many kids you're going to bring into this reality. You know, if the money that you have to support those kids, and if you know the father's first name, middle name, last name, all those things you need to start thinking about before you do anything. And the first thing you need to do, get an education. Get an education. If you're not big on the books and studying the books, get a skill. Become a mechanic. Do something to be able to make money. Learn how to cook. Cook whatever you do. Be the best cook in the world for that particular thing that you like to cook. Be the best at whatever you decide to do. But you need to be able to make money so that the real stigmas, you know, are not part of who you are as a person, because taking care of your mental health should never, ever be a stigma. Not ever. Not in this world or the next. That should be number one. That should be paramount. Paramount. No stigma. Take care of your mental health. The head is controlling the whole body, and you're going to be ashamed of taking care of your mental space. It's crazy. It's just crazy. This is Sherry Veronica.